The study I presented today, I worked with a lot of people, especially Timothée Giraud, Nicolas Doué, but also other people, because it's a part of a bigger project. It's a research project of the International College of Territorial Sciences. It's a laboratory of Paris, and the project is financed now by the French National Agency. The project is GeoMedia, and the main goal of this project is building a sense of international media event, based on the analysis of RSS feeds of newspapers. So, but I think it's interesting to explain how we arrived to the idea of this project, and everything began with the Arab Spring, when our laboratory was asked by several newspapers to produce just-in-time studies in few days because we were working on the Mediterranean area with other projects. So we had the problem which data use, how to collect, how to represent. What we have done, we use web scraping, web cartography, and I traced the links between the blog identified as the main activist blogs in Tunisia and then in Egypt. And I traced the connection with websites in other countries to see how they were already connected to other blogs around the world, and why the news was diffused so quickly. And we represented this information with a traditional cartography. Apparently it's a quite new thing, because we publish it on the newspaper, then on the Spatiographique, it's a quite important French review, and in other scientific journals. So we worked on other, we began to study the coverage of countries, and we worked with different kind of data. Here we studied the coverage of countries related to Arab Spring in the previous year before, the 2011 and after. And then we work on co-citation of these countries after the Arab Spring to see how the world is shaped by different media. It's just some ideas. We have a lot of projects around this, but we have some main questions that I will present today. Is which data can allow us to work on just-in-time analysis of media coverage of countries, and which kind of analysis we can perform with this data. So I will focus on, just as a case study, on the Wukan protest. Wukan is a village on the south of China, very close to Hong Kong. And in September 2011, for the first time, international newspaper, spoke about this village because there were several strikes for land grabs. It's a general problem in China, but this event has a very special international coverage. But let's come back to the problem of data. As you may know, data about media data, newspaper data, are usually analyzed by researchers thanks to commercial databases, Factiva, LexisNexis, Europress for European journals, that are really expensive, and they have several problems, methodological and technical problems. For example, you cannot legally extract more than 100 articles, or if you want to perform multi-language analysis, you have to trust the keywords of Factiva that are not so well documented. So we are trying to work on the possibility to find other kind of data, notably the RSS feeds of newspapers. RSS have three main advantages. They are freely accessible. They can be archived and tagged without limits, so we can have more than 100 items at the same time. And normally they are provided by journals as the news is ready. So we can, in theory, perform just-in-time analysis. We are storing now, some RSS. Our INR project is a project called Corpus. It means the goal is providing this database to researchers, providing data, not just the analysis. Now we have 132 feeds of 41 countries. And now we are just working in English and French because our goal is just to say, just to test if RSS can give us the information we need, and if to test different technical problems that we have collecting, storing RSS, because we have several technical problems. And we are just, usually journals or newspaper provide several RSS feeds, so we are working with the on-page newspaper, news RSS is the main RSS provided by the journal, the newspaper, and international feeds, because we suppose that they are the feeds that convey international events. These are the distribution of the items we have archived until now. As you see, the limit of the language limits also the coverage of the countries. So if we come back to the protest, so we had two corpora, the Factiva corpora with 952 articles. Why we choose this case? Because the Wukan is written in every Latin language in the same way. We didn't have the problem, we didn't need to use the keyword of Factiva, but we could build a corpus covering all countries, not considering China. Because, okay, I have no time to go in the detail of the case, but there was evidently a censorship on the China newspaper. On this corpus, we could perform a quantitative analysis, and was interesting for us because we are also trying to develop some like a routine analysis with R scripts that we can provide to researchers. So the idea is to provide data and also to provide some kind of analysis of we repeat. We are also developing a package specific for cartography. I will present it later. We have a second corpus, it's a smaller one because our database is small, is the corpus of the RSS. It's constituted by 122 items. It means items, description plus article, plus title. In some cases, like The Guardian, in the RSS you find the complete article. And there we perform just a qualitative analysis to compare the result, what we had with the RSS with the Factiva, because the sample was too small to perform the same kind of things. On this website, you will find our scripts are freely available if you want to try, and we explain also the packaging we use. So, for example, as regards the geographical distribution of articles speaking about Wukan between September and May 2012, we see that most of articles are coming from newspaper in United States, Hong Kong, and UK. This is why in United States and UK there are journals like Financial Times, New York Times, that are generally gatekeeper of this kind of event. Hong Kong is justified by the fact that the proximity, but also by the fact that the most important Asian journal, English language Asian journal, are located in Hong Kong. As regards these are the data from Factiva. From RSS, what we could identify was the main countries, like US, UK, are the main countries also in the RSS, but we couldn't design a geographical map because we didn't have enough coverage. So the problem now we are doing further research, but we have a strong doubt on the possibility to study distribution, geographical distribution, with RSS, because the main problem is the offer, even if we don't consider the multi-language analysis problem, this is still a big problem. We have the problem that the offer of RSS fields in several countries is not of so good quality and valid to have a guarantee coverage, a worldwide coverage. Just the map you saw have been developed with this package. It's just beta version. It allows to design a proportional circle map. Just you can just know the different size of circle. Really proportional is very important for them. Okay, if you want to try, you can email me, and we can send you the package. So let's go on. As regards the chronological distribution, the first graphic is with the data from Factiva, the second is from SRSS. As you see here, the distribution is quite similar. So with the, even if the corpus is smaller, we can make the hypothesis that a few journals can be sufficient for identify media peaks and international events when they are unfold. Thanks to this analysis, we could identify the main peaks, main media, even if we go on a singular newspaper like the New York Times, we found the same distribution of articles and RSS items. So we can suppose that an analysis of RSS, if we want just to identify the main peaks of an event, can be sufficient for performing the analysis. So for example, in the case of the Wukan protest, just quickly, we have some, the journal newspaper started to speak about, talk about Wukan in September when the first strike were recorded, but it was just a few newspapers like Financial Times newspapers, especially they pay special attention to this country. Then until November, we have no special coverage. What happened at the end of November is we have a lot of revolt and strike, and the attitudes of villagers, they change radically because they try to contact directly journalists, and they invite journalists in the villages. And so when a few days later, the main chief of the revolt disappeared, was dead, and authorities declared it was just a cardiac attack, so villagers start to be more angry, and police blocked the village, the access to food, for food and goods. Villagers were ready, so were able to resist. Also, they had the food, everything, and journalists were blocked for 1 week in the village, so they cover the event. They had, especially because they are really blocked there. And then we have other peak related to the election in February, the municipal election in March, and the final peak is because the Chinese government arrested some officials related to the revolt. But just, I have no time to present in more detail the case, but it was very interesting for us. We are encouraged to work on this type of analysis. We are performing also other kind of analysis, like we are comparing media data with extra media data, like for example we are studying earthquake to see if RSS can be used as other scholars have done for identifying some natural events that can be compared with natural other kind of data that we can consider extra media, or other kind of analysis.
How do you decide to work on the news feed specifically? Because I mean, it's very striking when we hear the different presentation. I mean, some of us work on Twitter streams, that they try to see the whole reality of Twitter streams. Others do the web searches. Others analyze the link of blogs, and there's not yet a lot of social, although I mean, we've been clearly conscious that things are polysocial. So in your case, I mean, the choice of, well, that was the topic, I mean, looking specifically on the standard news propagation. Can you maybe just say a few of the motivation for that particular media?
Because personally I have a strong motivation because as Inek said before, studying just in time topics, you are kind of frustrated because you need some methods and some tools ready. And before working on news, I work a lot on Twitter, I try to work on Facebook, I work on blogosphere and so on. We have a lot of technical problems related to the API change. So the idea is to have more simple data, maybe to have a more simpler conclusion, but you can trust the data. This is the reason why we are working on newspaper. And also we are now to see if it is enough to work with few newspapers just in English, in fact, because we prefer to have a very solid tool, a solid methodology that can be used easily by researchers that have no background on scraping.
Okay. Questions? Yep. Tommaso? Oh, okay. Maybe Tommaso starts.
Yeah. Which is the main problem or the main difficulty that you encounter in academia with RSS, both technical or conceptual?
We have a lot of problems. The biggest one is very recent, is that newspapers are closing the RSS. So it's a kind of, we have few cases, not quite worrying. Then we have several problems related to the monitoring of it, because we have to guarantee, we have to intervene if the link change, if we have a gap, we have to measure and decide when the feed is valid or not. So we have several tools now for checking all the time the activity of the feeds and to measure when a feed can be valid or not.
Maybe we remember this year as the golden age of information access. It was before the big close down of all the API, which will happen in the second part of the coming years. Yes.
Is there an impact of press agencies? Because I imagine if there is a big press agency writing an article that all the newspapers will slightly adapt the message and.
Okay, yes, we are studying them, but we not RSS because officially not all press agencies provide RSS. For example, AFP, I found an RSS feed, but it's not provided on their website. So I have to have some interviews to see how I can trust this kind of data. So we are working on it, but with Factiva. I didn't present it because.
But maybe the underlying question is, you may discover with studies like that they are in fact common. I mean, here you see the newspaper as primary, primary information sources, but actually there may be underlying other communication networks based on other press agencies that feed several of those. This was not the case, or not apparent in your case, but this is, I mean, I guess this is, in other cases that certainly happened.
So probably a quick remark about the fact that now newspapers are closing RSS down, which is of course bad news. APIs are closing or already more or less closed. Probably we should ask ourselves the question, close to whom? I mean close to us because we are in the academia and they have discovered newspapers or social networking platforms in general that we are a profitable market. I mean, they could charge us with remarkable sums of money to do that. Of course, they're not close to police officers. They are not close to governments. They are not close to corporations, which basically, in best cases, have the money to pay for that. So, probably this could help us reconfigure the question or the matter that we're discussing here from this morning, we lack data, we lack quality data, because these data are disappearing for one reason or another. And what can we do to find those data? Probably the solution would be raise more money to pay for those data. Or, if you want to have a more radical approach, find some way of, let's say, mixing up with hacking types and go grab the data. I don't know, well, probably this is not something that I would say more public.
Yeah. Let's tweet it. Yeah, I think they are trying to distinguish the day-by-day use that other normal people do with newspaper and the archive use we research things. They are able to do this with Facebook because most journals that are closing RSS are doing this because they are using Facebook as the main tool for providing day-by-day information.
I don't know about that too much, but how this stream of information is going from China to the other parts of the world? The there are journalists or bloggers or some people on tweet or on Yahoo or something. How I suppose that you don't have some Chinese sources how they cope with this event. I think you use only this English and French communication. Do you know how this communication started from the point of view of going information into the media?
But there is some important Chinese journals in English, like the South China Morning Post. Usually is the journal that diffuse this kind of information. Then there are newspapers like the Financial Times. They are really up to date about what happens in China. It depends. In this case, was a kind of not so activist case, let's say. I mean, journalists had the access to the village. I studied other cases where the role of bloggers is more important, or the role of their website, like a Pure Player in China, that are strongly related to newspapers, like in Canada, or in Chinese in Canada, or in other countries. So, but it was not the case here. Mm-hmm. Here, the news was conveyed.
Yeah. Thank you.